Hello, everyone. I just want to have a live conversation with Mr. Kerim Balci, a journalist, an exiled journalist from Turkey, who is now at Strasbourg and in a protest in front of European Court of Human Rights. Welcome, Mr. Balci. How are you?
Thank you, thank you.
I can see.
There's an amazing crowd here in front of the European Court of Human Rights. We are here to protest against the delays in the files of a particular group from Turkey, the Hizmet movement. It's apparently the European Court of Human Rights is determined to delay decisions on the files of members of or alleged members of the Gulen movement, and this is actually perpetuating a crime against humanity. The overall message of the protest in front of the European Court of Human Rights was that by way of delaying the decisions, the European Court of Human Rights is not only, deterring the victims from Turkey from applying to the European Court of Human Rights, but also it is a green light to the authoritarian regime in Turkey that they will actually be left immune from any kind of punishment because of their crimes against humanity and violations of human rights. The overall message of the meeting is this. I think from every single member of European Council countries, members of various human rights organizations were here, including members of the European Council Parliamentary Assembly, former leader of British Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, also addressed the crowd in front of the European Court of Human Rights. It was a particularly important speech because, as you know, the United Kingdom government, the British government, is actually discussing the possibility of getting out of the, derogating from the European Convention on Human Rights and creating its own Bill of Rights, ending practically the authority of European Court of Human Rights over the British courts. Well, the point is this: at one end, British government is trying to escape from the jurisdiction of European Court of Human Rights. At the other hand, the European Court of Human Rights is actually providing the Turkish regime with a green light to continue on its persecution against the members of the Hizmet movement. That is the main message of the meeting today in front of the court at Strasbourg.
Thank you very much. There is too many topics you mentioned to unpack, but I want to start with the delay. How much delay we're talking about? Is it a regular, we know the courts always move slow, and there has to be internal law procedures has to be handled in Turkey before someone to be able to apply for European Court of Human Rights. Is that not a normal delay? What sort of how much delay we're talking about here?
One part of that was mentioned today during the speeches was journalist Hidayet Karaca, whose file arrived to European Court of Human Rights already in 2017. So this means that he has been waiting for 5 years already for a decision from the Strasbourg court. Well, this is the final appeal court of human rights related cases in Turkey. 5 years from his life has been stolen, and we don't know when the European Court and the judges in the court will have a decision about his file. His file is a very clear file because he was arrested even before the coup attempt of 2016, and yet his case was unified with the coup case in Turkey. We have seen European Court of Human Rights act quite swiftly in urgent cases, and the crowd here is also asking for prioritizing certain cases from the Hizmet movement cases. The European Court of Human Rights does have a burden of overload from cases, particularly from Turkey. I think more than 30,000 cases are still waiting in front of the judges here in Strasbourg. We do understand that this is but the European Court of Human Rights has already created a mechanism to deal with those issues. They can select some pilot cases from among those cases, which would become the precedent by means of the future decisions of the European Court, and it would give a lot of leverage to human rights defenders all around the world to put pressure on the government. If, for example, the European Court, the Strasbourg Court, had decided on the illegal and extrajudicial unemployment of over 200,000 people due to the extra case laws. These are the presidential decrees that actually made more than 200,000 people unemployed in one night without any legal measure. And yet, Turkish regime invented a mechanism called OHAL Commission, case of state of emergency commission. Everybody knew that the commission was only delay the final decision inside Turkey, but the European Court decided that the OHAL Commission was actually a domestic remedy. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch warned the court that this is not a domestic remedy. There is no remedy there because cases, almost 98% of cases are denied without any investigation or interrogation of the cases. Now, it's not a domestic remedy. By way of turning those cases over 10,000 were together declined because he invented a new internal mechanism of delay.
I see that. Hello, Mr. Balji. Your internet went for a minute there. I can see it is hopefully coming back. Okay. Can you hear me, Mr. Balji? Yeah, your internet seems very weak at this point. I guess there is a lot of broadcasting going on in there, but if you can hear me, I think I understood you that the European Court of Human Rights is complaining about a huge load of cases, like 30,000 cases. But isn't that another reason why it has to act swiftly? Why would, a court shouldn't let 30,000 people suffer just because 30,000 people are seeking justice? I don't know whether you could hear me that, Mr. Balji. I see your internet connection seems like red to me. I hope you have heard me. Can you hear me? No? Is there a phone call or network connection? Sorry, there seems to be a problem on my guest side, but I will put him back as soon as I can see his internet connection back to normal, at least on a reasonable level. So far, he summarized, Mr. Balji, the journalist who is exiled from Turkey, has summarized that European Human Rights Court has actually not responded properly to cases that have piled up in Turkey. And there has been a 30,000 case waiting in the court process, which needs addressing urgently. And some of them are over 5-6 years old, and sometimes delayed justice is not justice at all. I'll try to put him back again, but I don't know whether you can hear me, Mr. Balji, because I can see your internet connection is still very weak. If you can hear me, we can continue where we left. But I guess a lot of people are using at that point the broadcasting means in the area. Okay, I think Mr. Balji's internet is not back. Can you try to join back again? Like if you log out and come back again, Mr. Balji, and I'll try to summarize what you said. Yeah, so there is 30,000 cases in Turkey, and this protest tries to bring that to attention of the European Court of Human Rights again. There is a strong voice in there. I have seen thousands of people attended from around Europe and various places. And hopefully I will have Mr. Balji back again, and we'll talk about why this is dragging so long, and whether they feel like they have been heard by the European Court of Human Rights. But this is relatively a new development. It's one of the biggest protests that Hizmet movement has staged in front of ECHR. We are hoping that it would achieve something. I think Mr. Balji is connecting back now. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming back. Can you hear me now again? Hear me now. Your internet seems much better now. Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So you were talking about 30,000. Yes. There is 30,000 cases waiting in the doors of Human Rights Court. But most recently, last month, we have witnessed that ECHR actually made a decision on Taner Kılıç's case. And when you look into the case, he was accused of being a terrorist organization. Again, he was actually accused of being a member of Hizmet movement based on his use of Baylok app, based on his use of Bankasya, based on use of his some of his relatives going into Hizmet-related schools, and one of his relatives was married to an editor in Zaman. I don't know who that person is, but isn't that a case actually represents pretty much most of these accusations in Turkey? Isn't that in any way helpful? Mr. Balji, did you hear the question?
Unfortunately,
okay, I was trying to say there is 30,000. Yeah, I will try again. I understand that people are actually excited, and I can hear at the background the slogans as well. But I was trying to tell that most recently ECHR actually made a decision about Taner Kılıç, and his case is exactly at least 95% same with most of the people who has a problem with the Turkish regime today. He was accused of using an app. He was accused of using a bank app that was established by Hizmet movement, and he was accused of other affiliations with the Hizmet movement. And the court decided that these are not fair decisions, and he should be awarded with some compensation. Isn't this a sample for the rest of the cases, or is there something different working because he was the director of Amnesty? How do you evaluate the situation?
Taner Kılıç wasn't. Yeah, it legally speaking, lawyers are not a lawyer. Lawyers are telling me that Taner Kılıç case wasn't taken within spite of the material in case was very similar to many members of the movement. He himself didn't apply as a part of a group rights, receives education from a particular group. Either it is an ethnic group or, for example, the Alawites in Turkey, and so it becomes a group of that brought European Court of Human Rights. The burden is too heavy for them to read all of the content. They choose some, representatives. It was not take body of other cases, play as a pilot case on which other members of the Gülen movement can actually campaign. Of course, of the Gülen movement are asking the Court of Human Rights to give one simple vision about one of.
Sorry, I'm losing Mr. Balji again. I can see actually his signal is failing. I think partly because he's using a roaming services rather than a native phone. Maybe we should find a native phone. Okay, it was slightly better. Okay, I can't hear you, Mr. Balje, but it's good to see you. Sorry, again we have failed. Yeah, so we will hopefully get a much better connection, hopefully, and get a feel of the field, what's happening there, what is the message, what is the details of the message, and then whether that message has been received by the court. I have seen the videos that there's actually a physical letter have been handed to one of the representative of the head judge, as I understand, and I'm hoping that this would be chased by the media, in particularly European Court of Human Rights is at the spotlights for many different reasons around Turkey, especially as Mr. Balje said, in the UK. Recently, they decided to stop extradition cases that UK government is trying to create with Rwanda. UK government is trying to send some refugees to Rwanda to process their application instead of keeping them in the UK. And the flight was scheduled last week, and ECHR actually has stopped that decision, which in return started a new application from the Conservative Party in the UK to not to take ECHR as an authority. So there is a lot of stuff going on at the same time, and the court's legitimacy is in many different ways under question. Its relationship with Turkey has been questioned before. The visit they did to Turkey in the time where they have the most cases, most complaints from the Turkey, whether it was encouraging or discouraging the rule of law in Turkey, was debated lengthy. But there has been a very, very strong voice today in Strasbourg in front of the court building by thousands of Turkish protesters who came together to call justice for all in Turkey, and hopefully that would put some action, some wheels into motion in the court, and maybe we will see some cases taken as a sample, and there'll be some decisions made about them, and hopefully justice will be served, because European Court of Human Rights is an outcome of a humanitarian experience. And it served very well so far as a last port of resort in the Western Hemisphere, in the European Union, and some other parts of the world where it is respected as a higher court. And we are hoping that trust to the justice would remain strong among the people who is trying to resolve their issues with peaceful means, by the legitimate means, by court processes, without further delay, because justice delayed is not justice at all. I would like to thank you for joining me to cover this topic in a short video. I'm hoping to cover this again this evening with some other guests as well, including Mr. Balje, hopefully with a much more stable internet connection. And until then, thank you very much for watching. And I had some other questions that I wanted to ask, which I couldn't ask, but hopefully we'll get them later. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you later. Have a nice day. And don't forget to share the hashtag on the social media. If you're not there, you can support these sort of activities with other social media means on Facebook, Twitter, and hopefully on YouTube. Thank you very much.